Greetings from Scouse Farm. Now, why am I acrobatically sat on top of a sandstone wall? Nice wall, like, but considering my shoulder's still killing, I don't know how I've got up here, but I managed it. But I am here to show you an unusual graveyard, and this is in like WAVERTREE stroke Mossley Hill, and the graveyard itself is mainly a tribute to an organisation that you'll all know the name of soon. But let's take you back to the 1600s. So in sometime in the 1600s, I couldn't get the exact date, a man called George Fox had a dream or an epiphany, something or other, where he said he was faced with God and he trembled in the presence of God, and he decided after that to set up what was known as the Religious Society of Friends, and we will all know them as Quakers. And when I said to a friend in work, I said, oh, I've just found out something about the Quakers, and he went, is that the people who make porridge? So most people in the UK just think of Quakers as a breakfast cereal, because there's Quakers oats, but it's actually a religious society set up in the UK, and I assumed it was American because I think most references in films to Quakers were in the United States of America, but it was set up by George Fox in Ulverston, which is just south of the Lake District in Lancashire or Cumbria, one of the two, in the UK. And the reason he was called Quakers was literally because George Fox said, we are to tremble in the way of the Lord. So that was what he was or he heard in his dream or his epiphany. Little garden bed there. But this Quaker burial ground, originally in 1791, the Liverpool Quakers built a new meeting house on Hunter Street, which is in the town centre, and like many things in Liverpool town centre, it was destroyed by a German bomb, in this case during the attacks in the Blitz in 1941. And there was a burial ground attached or associated with this house on Hunter Street, and it was known as Hackin's Hay. So that's where the people who were members of this religious order were buried. The original burial ground, it did fell into disuse, and in 1854 it had to be closed in the town centre because it was a health hazard. And as you've seen from a few other videos, we've got the one with, I think it's entitled 80,000 corpses are buried here, and that's the Grant Gardens video I did, and that is another example of why the health hazards in town, where more people were moving into the city centre, you couldn't bury people there anymore, so they started moving burial grounds outside of the town itself. So it was closed as a health hazard, and in 1861 a new burial ground was declared ready for use, and that is the one you can see now over this wall. And it was only granted permission to have these single uniform headstones, so you'll notice all the headstones are pretty much identical. So that was part of the permissions, was that you could only have these single headstones, and all that could be inscribed on them is the name of the deceased, the age of the deceased, and the date of death. And all of the, or most of the Quaker interments in town were moved here, and then all further ones were buried here until it stopped taking interments, which was in 1961. So this was still accepting new members, so to speak, until about 1961. But this has also been opened as a community garden, and it was opened as a community garden on the 15th of June 2014, and it used to only be open to the public one day a year, but you'll see in a minute when I get down off this wall, if I can do it without dropping the phone, you'll see that they've now started to open it more often. So I'll walk you around to the other side just in case people want to see where you can get through. But this is quite a tiny little graveyard, and it's now surrounded by all sorts of new build flats, and not the best time to show it because the garden's not in bloom as we're in January. But in the summertime they do come in here, and like it's used by St Hilda's School, I believe, and maybe some other schools now, for religious education and for like education around growing your own food, so community garden type stuff. That's why you can see that bed over there. you can see that, and now I'm dangling off the wall. But not much else to see from where I am, but you can see in the corner there we've got a lot of compost bins and things like that. So I think this is the little area where they get all the plants ready to put in, and the entrance is round the other side, and I'll show you that in a minute when I get down off this wall. So let's try and do this while I've still got the phone. I'll try and get down. Made it onto a bin, which is always nice. And I'm down. So it wasn't him. It is a nice wall, isn't it? And the reason I was sat on the wall and not in the garden is because it's locked and closed. But I'll take you around to the front now. And as you can see, all of these new build flats are now surrounding what was, or still is, the Liverpool Quakers burial ground. And in this area, like this WAVERTREE Mossley Hill border, you're walking up towards Sefton Park from this road, and there's quite a few churches in the area. So there's like, on the end, it seems like every road you turn down there's a church at either one end, the top or the bottom. So it was obviously very religiously dominated back in the day because there was so many places of worship. And I'll just take you around to the front, and then what I'm going to do is, there's a church called St. Clair's, which is literally, it'll take me about 40 seconds or so from the end of the road here to get up to it. So I'll leave you at that church because it's a beautiful looking building. Not paid much attention to it in the past, but I do drive up and down here very often because of work. So I'll just take you around the front now and show you the entrance. But it was a friend in work who, sorry mate, it was a friend in work told me about this, and I was thinking, hang on, I drive down here all the time, I've never noticed it. And I know other YouTubers have probably done videos of it, because when I researched it, I could see there was another channel that has been in here, literally got in the garden, so must have popped in on a day when it was open. But this is the entrance now. I did try and climb up down this entryway, but I didn't want to, it was filthy, so I didn't want to climb up the wall down that entry. And there is where we are. So this is the entrance. And I'll leave a link to the road. I can't remember the name of the road, I think it's, but for those who are familiar with Liverpool, you've got the junction there with Arundel Avenue, L17, but I will put it in the video description because I can't quite remember the name of the road. And that is where the meeting house is now, which is Liverpool Town Centre in School Lane, or where I think it is. And as you can see, the garden is open every Wednesday from 1:30 to 4 p.m. and it used to only be open once a year, but now I'm glad to see that they do open it more often and let the kids come in to do the gardening and learn how to grow food and stuff. Right, so let me walk you down. You can see there, that's the church I'm going to take you to, so bear with me and we'll walk down there and I'll leave you at that point. But this is the road that runs all the way up towards Lodge Lane, and then all of these roads go down towards Sefton Park. You can see the flats there, they overlook the start of Sefton Park. But that climbing, I was a bit worried climbing up on that wall then, because as I say, I pulled my shoulder, done my rotator cuff, literally shadow boxing, and scored a TKO against myself as I popped my shoulder out, so I beat myself. But luckily within a week it feels a lot better, so no permanent damage. There's a lot of people out running today around here. But this church is called St. Clair's. I think it's a Roman Catholic church. I think I seen RC when I was walking past before. And like I mentioned, so many of these roads at one end or the other have got a church on them, and not even small ones, some of them are massive. This is a beautiful building. Do like the old churches. And once we get round this side, you'll be able to see the full splendour of this wonderful building. Absolutely gorgeous. And this is on the corner of York Avenue. I think you'll agree, it's quite a handsome building. So thank you all very much for watching. Have yourselves a great day. Hopefully you're all keeping nice and warm in Scouse Farm. We'll see you all again soon.